A smash hit for Netflix has gotten a green light for season 2. Emily in Paris took the world by storm on the streaming platform, and it's easy to see why. Created by renowned writer Darren Star, the same man who created Sex and the City, Emily's season 2 will have a ton of questions to answer. But for now, we have some crazy Easter eggs. Watch to find out. Firstly, are there similarities to Sex and the City? Emily in Paris has undeniable similarities with Sex and the City, Darren Star's most high-profile project to date. HBO's Sex and the City followed the lives of a group of 4 women in New York City and explored social ideas such as sex and relationships through their very different perspectives. Sex and the City was especially well known for its influence on fashion via the costumes designed by Patricia Field. Field, who brought her same eclectic design sensibility to Emily in Paris, mixed couture with fast fashion and is credited for starting trends such as nameplate necklaces, Manolo Blahnik shoes, and visible bra straps from her designs on the show. Emily in Paris is a better successor to Sex and the City than the Carrie Diaries. The series is full of sneaky references to Sex and the City, and it's apparent that the HBO show was a massive influence on Emily in Paris. Emily in Paris primarily references the 2-part series finale of Sex and the City episode 19, An American Girl in Paris Part 1, and episode 20, An American Girl in Paris Part 2. While Carrie and Emily ultimately make different decisions following their time in Paris, it's clear that Carrie Bradshaw had a huge impact on Emily in Paris. Does the fashion match up with Sex and the City as well? Arguably, Carrie Bradshaw's most iconic outfit is her white tutu and pink tank top, which she wears in the title sequence of Sex and the City, and Emily references the look in Emily in Paris while attending a party her friend Mindy, played by Ashley Park, is hosting. Her pink layered skirt isn't as dramatic as Carrie's tutu, but the swishy skirt is immediately identifiable as an updated version of the look. Emily pairs the skirt with a white tank top, another nod to Carrie's styling, but with a modern tie-back silhouette. Although the outfit has swapped the colors, it's a clear reference to the famous Sex and the City ensemble. Not only that, but in season 1, episode 2, Masculine Feminine of Emily in Paris makes a direct reference to Sex and the City when Emily steps out of her apartment and directly and unglamorously into dog poop. The moment is a reference to season 6, episode 20, An American Girl in Paris Part 2 of Sex and the City, when Carrie Bradshaw does the same thing while walking through the streets of Paris and stops to clean her Louboutins in a fountain. How is Emily adapting to her new city? Lily Collins made quite the statement with her glam during the first season of Emily in Paris. Show makeup artist Ariel Pay says, "We can pretty much promise that the second season, which launches on December 22nd, is going to serve up some seriously stunning looks." That in mind, the beauty this go-around is going to be a bit different than what fans initially saw. Collins' character, Emily Cooper, was all about matte lipstick and berry hues for the season premiere. But for the second season, fans can expect her to have a little more of the French flair. Adapting her makeup is an important tool in storytelling. Emily uses makeup to reflect her personality. She came from the United States with strong lips. Emily is vocal. She's someone who says things and is not afraid to say it. Payne explained of her season 1 vibe. Now, however, she has had a little more time to immerse herself in French culture. She's enjoying French people, French landscapes, and becomes a little bit more French. It means that maybe she'll take a little away from her lips for something more natural. Payne explained, "I wanted to still stay focused on Emily's personality, but add a tiny little bit of French makeup and French style into her character," noting that the subtle switch toward more natural glam is reflective of the Parisian influence. She'll be French-inspired, but still her. Still the Emily that we know and love. Will Mindy continue her singing career? Mindy, Ashley Park, became a close friend to Emily in season 1, as both women lived in America before moving to France for work. The sassy character started the season working as a nanny for a family in Paris, but Emily soon came to learn that Mindy was also a talented singer. When Mindy lived in China, she appeared on a singing competition, but performed poorly and left the country out of embarrassment. At first, Mindy was too ashamed to ever try singing again, but Emily encouraged her to perform in the park, which brought in a crowd of spectators. Later, Mindy's friend set her up to perform at a Paris nightclub, where she impressed the crowd once more. The club offered her a job as an MC a few nights a week. Mindy quickly became a fan favorite of Emily in Paris's character for her honesty toward Emily and her sense of humor. Some fans were eager to learn more about Mindy's life. At the end of the season, the character moved in with Emily after the family she nannied for fired her because of the nightclub job offer. Where will she end up in season 2? Will she pursue her singing career again now that she has the club to get her started? Will there be more diversity in season 2? Lily, who produces and stars in the comedy drama, explained how the controversies surrounding Emily in Paris influenced the creator's approach to season 2. "I was really passionate about including more women, people of color, and also sexual orientation to really show more more of what the world is and be a part of the Emily family, she said in a new interview with Glamour for the magazine's December cover story. If there's ever an opportunity to be better, do better, and have more representation and inclusion, you should run with it, Lily added, although she maintained that we never represented Emily in Paris as anything other than what it was going to be. We didn't know the world would be in the state that it was when it came out, Lily continued, referencing the first season's mid-pandemic release. The show's Golden Globe nominations led to a huge conversation about corruption and whitewashing within the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and NBC announced it would no longer be broadcasting the annual award show as planned. It was definitely an interesting time for the world when those Golden Globe nominations came out, Lily recalled. Honestly, my focus and my concern at the time was more on the subject matter at hand and change that needed to be made, as opposed to how I fit into all that with the show. What about love and personality in Paris? Meanwhile, Lucas dropped a hint that Camille might have feelings for Emily, saying that the first season planted a few seeds about different characters. He used Camille as an example. Like Camille, when she kisses Emily on the mouth and she's like, "I'm not sorry," and then when they're in bed and I'm liking the picture, it's all little seeds, Lucas explained. Anything could happen between the three of them. As for other personalities on the show, Darren plans on keeping them at the forefront, both at the office and at Parisian restaurants during off hours. We'll see more of Emily's work family, absolutely, especially Sylvie, who I feel like is so mysterious, he told Glamour. I want to understand her more and know more about her without totally knowing, if that makes sense. Any excuse to see more of Mindy, I'm all for. Lily is also open to digging deeper into everyone's backstories. Now that we've seen her with all these Parisisms, maybe we'll get to a bit more of her backstory and experience that with some of the other characters, she said. But you always know with Emily, you're going to have humor and you're going to have adventure. There's going to be no shortage of that coming up, and great fashion. What about that steamy night with Gabriel? Emily's having difficulty forgetting that night of passion she shared with hot neighbor Gabriel in a newly released trailer for season 2, premiering Wednesday, December 22nd on Netflix. And can you blame her? Their steamy hookup definitely left a lasting impression. So much so that Gabriel decided not to move to Normandy. But now his ex-girlfriend Cammy, who's also Emily's gal pal, is suspicious about Gabriel's reason for staying in Paris. I need to explain myself, Emily insists to her friend Mindy. As if Emily's romantic life isn't complicated enough, we're introduced to a new love interest, the charming cynic Alfie. Now more entrenched in her life in Paris, Emily's getting better at navigating the city, but still struggling with the idiosyncrasies of French life. According to the official season 2 logline, after stumbling into a love triangle with her neighbor and her first real French friend, Emily is determined to focus on her work, which is getting more complicated by the day. In French class, she meets a fellow expat, aka Alfie, who both infuriates and intrigues her. Clearly, there are many Easter eggs in season 1 and the trailer to season 2. We are so excited to see what Emily will be doing in season 2 and can't wait until the end of December. Let us know what you think in the comments.